Many thanks for staying with us on the conversation and on this segment. You know how we do it. We talk about Lagos and everything that concerns Lagos. Today's topic is quite timely and relevant, especially just last week when the Lagos State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Jamiu Ali Balogun, said an approved academic calendar for the state schools will be ready in 2 weeks or within 2 weeks. So we'll be discussing harmonization of Lagos schools calendar, a state policy designed to unify the academic timeliness of public and private schools for better planning, supervision, and learning outcomes. And joining us to discuss this morning is an educationist and school administrator, Chief Mrs. Omotunde Lawson, the proprietor and CEO of Christ Hill Schools. She brings rich experience and insight into the private education sector's engagement with this policy. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's begin this way. What exactly inspired the harmonization of Lagos schools calendar? Why are we discussing that today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much once again. Well, I want to believe that, in all school systems, there are various types of institutions that we have. We have the public schools, we have the private schools, we have the missionary schools, and we have the boarding schools, we have the day schools, and running different kinds of activities in their own space. And for sanity to be in place, the government feels it is very important to harmonize what goes on in all these schools as much as possible.
Excuse me, when you say
of course, harmonization of the school calendar is an official schedule. If you agree with me,
when you say
which
for
outlines the
sanity
academic
to be
year
in place,
for a school, including all the programs, the activities with date and timelines.
Can you hear me, Chief Mrs.
So
Lawson?
that it can be a regulated system, so that schools don't just do whatever they like at will.
Okay, I'm trying to understand something you said just now. You said for sanity to be in place. What do you mean by that? Especially when we are aware that some private schools have a different curricula, different from public schools and, of course, the missionary schools.
Okay, let me start by saying this. That actually what do we mean about harmonizing school calendars? Yeah. If you look at the school calendar, regular school calendar, there are certain items on the calendar.
Okay.
I mean, ranging from resumption date to the time the instruction will be given in the school, the number of days in each half term, when the school will go on half term, when the school will have public holiday, when there will be open days and parents can come into the school, examination dates, and of course, school end of school, end of term, end of year. Okay. Basically, that is what's on the calendar.
Oh, okay.
Are we talking about the outlines of what and dates of what should be in the school? Okay. Or we're talking about the content that the content and learning experiences that we have within the school system. Okay. For me, I think there are two different things. The calendar just outlines event with dates. You understand now? So if that is the case, is that what we are harmonizing?
Okay.
And for sanity, if that's what we are harmonizing, definitely I want to tell you that most private schools, because many of them run different kinds of programs. And so align specifically with this school calendar released by the government may not be completely possible. That is why I think the government has provided an avenue where such schools can apply. They can apply to the government to say that this is their own calendar that they wish to run. Because particularly when you have schools at international schools, the curriculum is different.
Quite different.
They sit for different examinations. So their calendar may not actually fit into the Lagos state government or any other government, any other state government as well.
Yeah.
So that is my own feeling that harmonizing will bring sanity, but the harmonizing of the calendar, will actually is limited by a number of factors. This type of schools that we have here and there.
Okay, you own a private school, and of course, you know, for past experience, you've been principal of some public schools. What are the factors being considered before this harmonization is being agreed upon or arrived at?
Yes, I think what government is trying to do is to give equal standard, to ensure that there's equality of standards between both private and public schools. Though it may not be absolutely possible, but government doesn't want public schools, to feel that they are just they are just way out of what should be, or that they are less, they are inferior to their private school counterparts. We have it's one Nigerian curriculum. Most of the private schools still run Nigerian curriculum, apart from those that now added international curriculum to theirs. So the idea is that government has seen the need that there must be a structure in place that will give equality, or what can call equity to both children, for children in both the public and the private schools. I will recall that there was a time when Lagos State, not too far, during COVID, Lagos State invested in training the teachers in use of computer for them to be able to deliver e-learning facilities to the students, which was so awesome. And this is the area where private schools think they can boast of to say, oh, we have a lot of computers, students they are very they know how to engage in e-learning. They can use that Zoom, this one. But Lagos State go to the occasion and ensure that students in Lagos State have equal experience of e-learning. So I think basically is to ensure that there's not so much disparity in the learning experiences of students in both the public and the private sector.
Okay, for the private schools and of course the public schools now, have they faced any kind of challenges in harmonizing the school calendars? Because I'm particular about the private school which you are running right now. Yeah. Are there any challenges, schools, private schools encounter in harmonizing the school's calendar?
Now, let me just say as it is. We operate with the Lagos State school calendar.
Okay.
I said that we have the calendar showing the timelines of activities, and then right within, we now have the events and what we do that we run, which might not be put, which is not stated or in the government calendar. Therefore, these private schools now will derive their own internal calendar from Lagos State own, but ensuring that the dates for resumption, the date for midterm, the date for public holidays, the day for examinations when to begin. Although that one too has its own challenge, because the time this private school must start the examination might not actually fit into that of Lagos because of the type of survey that we do and the kind of examination that we write. For us in our school, we give the student, we examine them in practical at the senior secondary school level. So therefore, the time to must cover such. It's not just theory. So examinations start earlier than what Lagos State will suggest, Okay. But basically, we still, like we're on midterm, we just resumed today. So there's not much challenge in using harmonized calendar by private schools if they want to, except that there are a lot of activities that are being run by private schools that might not be in the government calendar, but will be imputed into the school calendar.
Okay. This harmonization of a school calendar policy, has it met its intended goals so far?
You'll come again, please.
I said, has the policy met its intended goals so far?
Oh, well, I want to believe that it has, because there was a time when, as these schools are, private schools at times, many of them violate this school calendar because they probably want to resume early because they are in competition with other schools. Therefore, they want to make their money quickly. So you find them resuming earlier than government will say.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges that private schools are having because they want to make their money quickly. So they might not actually fit in entirely. But that is wrong. Because when there's a policy in place, the policy is supposed to be adhered to. But I want to also believe that maybe manpower issue, because I know the Office of Quality Assurance, they go around to see schools that have violated the policy, and they clamp down on these schools. But there are so many schools that I cannot see how they're able to cover them, at least to sign a note of warning for them to comply with the calendar as it were. Because we have there's this for planning. Planning in the part of the government, planning even on the part of the parents. We all know that at a particular time, we must go, there must be holiday, long holiday. And during long holiday, that is when parents who want to change school will want to move around. So there cannot be a reason why you will want to close at a time, you want to open at a different time. How will government be able to plan? How will parents be able to plan? So if we want to really make sure that these issues are strictly adhered, I think there should still be kind of veto. You have to veto what is happening in these private schools. Though, like I said, other programs in the school which does not fall into government calendar, there are our own internal arrangements, and we can fix them on days of our choice. But however, the timeline given by government, specifically on the calendar, should still be strictly adhered to for proper planning on the part of everyone, all stakeholders.
Okay, you've talked about planning, for both the school, the teachers, and of course the students, and which makes sense, with all you have said. Why are some private schools still now reluctant in, joining or, connecting with this harmonization of the school's calendar?
I think I earlier mentioned it, that private schools, they are in business no matter what. And there are some programs too that probably some of these private schools run that they want to. Okay, let me give you an example. There are some private schools that will send their children to a citizenship and leadership training center at the same school in Apapa. Maybe the prefects when they are newly badged. I mean, that is an internal program. And when they are going to go, it's possible that it might have to fall within a period that is not even within the school calendar. Now, but because, like I said, these private schools, they are in business. And they feel that if they're in business, they need all the days. For me, in our schools, I prefer to even give my students longer days, if possible. Because I want to believe that there are so many public holidays. For us in our school, we want to make up for public holidays as much as possible. If we can even decide to even reduce it midterm to 3 days instead of 5 days. But yet we couldn't do it. So for reasons like that, some private schools may be constrained to now deviate from the normal.
Okay. According to the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, he said, our teachers need to rest, they need to plan, they need to re-strategize and spend quality time with their families. Now, I want us to look at the 1 week midterm break, that schools are just, resuming today from. Why was there a need for that? Because while I was growing up, we just had the 2 days, maybe Friday, Monday. Don't you think that too much time, staying at home is not productive for the children?
I absolutely agree with you. But it now depends on how the school operates.
Yeah.
For us, we are on holiday. But our students are all exposed to Google Classroom. As during the period of the midterm break, they were running assignments on the Google Classroom. What goes on? And that's why I said Lagos State did so well during COVID that even the children could benefit from Google Classroom from the comfort of their homes. So like even before the week for midterm, the week before that, there was holidays in between.
Okay.
Now look at the curriculum. Look at the scheme of work. The scheme of work has been so done in a way that each week you have what you have to cover. So it's like the week before the midterm week and last week and the midterm week, 2 weeks, only about 3 days of active instructional activities went on in the school. There will be no way that the student will be able to cover the syllabus. It's not left for the school to say, well, what they have learned is what they have learned. The rest do not matter. Even if they don't cover the scheme. If you don't have the conscience, you forget it. But the time to now make up for the classes missed is also very important. And that's one of the reasons why I said, when private schools sometimes, even if they change their calendar, there will be reasons to do that.
Okay. In your opinion, Chief, how will this harmonization now affect the learning experience for students in both public and private schools, which we all know that they all have their different curriculum? Are students being able to cover all the necessary syllabus for each type of school, which is private and of course the public schools?
Well, let me speak for what I know about. For us, we run Nigerian curriculum, but with a blend of British curriculum because the school is also accredited to write to sit for credit examinations.
Okay.
So at the primary school level, we have devised a method where we have imputed the curriculum, so it is not out of place to see our students being exposed to such.
Okay.
That might not be, for example, in a public school now, that might not be possible because the public school, there's a limit to what they can do, except if students who are there and who are willing to get instruction and instructional experience from other schools now decide to do that on their own. So to be able to bridge that gap is an issue as we speak.
Okay.
And there are programs like excursions, field trips in private schools. They are also part of they're also part of the knowledge that the students are supposed to gain. So if such avenues are not available for students in the public school, then what can we do? Can government do something? Can school arrange for something? Particularly when we know that these are non-paying schools. So private school can get things done because the student will actually pay for it. So the only thing that I also want to encourage is that if the children are able to, we say e-learning. E-learning still provides the answer because there are a lot of instructions online that the students can actually go to again without even going to pay to any school for that. There are a lot of resources available online that we can encourage even students in the private school. They all have phones. If they have phones, instead of going on TikTok and going on things that are not necessary for them, we can, and teachers will encourage them to use their phone to source for materials online that can also make them better developed and be able to compete favorably with their counterpart in the in the private sector. One thing that I also observed about students in Lagos State in the past years, and I think maybe still happening, many of the competitions, both local and international, they've always done well. They've always excelled, even academic competitions. So I wouldn't even think that these students are too far from the private school, except for the special privileges that students in the private schools have.
Okay, you spoke a lot about e-learning. So let's look at other stakeholders apart from teachers, students, the government. Let's look at the importance of parents, and the role they play. How can parents, continue to support this initiative in order to have, like a smooth operation?
The Parents Forum is the answer. Lagos State changed it from Parents Teachers Association, because I also worked in Lagos State for years, to Parents Forum. But that is a forum where parents can come together and they can be engaged. That is a forum when parents can be educated. Many might be ignorant. The only thing is that somebody who lacks information cannot do beyond what he or she is aware of. Therefore, as such fora, but another issue is that call parents forum meeting in our public school, you have few people who will attend. It's as if it is free. So it is free, so just carry your bag and baggage and go to school. Which is different from a private school where they know they pay for it. They want to get value for every penny paid. So Parents Forum is very essential. Parents intervention in all. We have to form a committee of parents at each level. Year 7, let me call it GS7, GS1, Parents Forum in their own space. GS2, that can meet with the school authority every time. And giving them opportunity to come to school. We have those who are also willing, very willing, to support the school. And they can come and even speak with these students. You won't believe that many of these students, they do what the parents are not aware of. So what should they do? How do they support the school from home?
Yes.
Because the time they spend in school is even not as much as what they spend at home.
Yes.
Do they check what they're given to do? Do they even check their bags? What they leave home with, what they come out, what they come back with? Do they engage with their teachers? The school is open. The open days, how many parents go for open days?
For open days, yes.
For open days where you check both the academic, the behavior, and everything about a child. If a child is interested, if a friend is interested, nobody will tell you before you go. Therefore, we must continue to advocate. That is why the open day in the calendar is so important. The effort should now be placed on it more than ever before. Go and see what your child does in school. And the parents will also be ready to do some extra work. If a parent is illiterate, and you cannot support your child at home, if you can still make friend with your child's teacher, you can get things done for you without having to spend much. For in private school, that does not matter because we have a way of calling the parents. Just call for a Zoom meeting, they are there. So the facility allows us to be able to talk and communicate with them. These new incidents of a child that was just abducted, that the child, somebody went to go and pick from school in Abuja. When we got the information, what we did immediately was call a meeting of the parents. So this is what happened, this is what we expect you should do from your own side. And which have done education of the staff and all the non-teaching staff in the school to ensure that this is what has to do, that kind of an event should not happen. So there is no way you will not engage the parents. Otherwise, they will not know what to do to support and to complement the efforts of the teachers in the school.
Okay, you talked more about, parents being more supportive in private schools. So what would you now recommend to improve the current system of, carrying parents along in public schools?
Yes, it also depends on the leadership. The leadership of the school matters a lot. There is a way you can get your parents to come to school. I don't want to start talking about, I worked in the system for 35 years.
Okay.
And we have had open days in, I worked in about 5 different schools. And I dare say, with all humility, to say that I had my own ways of getting them to be part of the meetings we have always held in the school. So, it's not a matter of killing a child. There are things that you remove from a child that the child will feel bad about. Once your parents did not attend parents forum meeting, these are the things that are in stock for you, which the children will not like. So at this one extent, I was able to, and we also use the teachers to engage the students. There's a mentor-mentee relationship in the school, and we also have to write notice. People don't want to spend money. At times, writing notices to parents, giving to the children to take home. If the cost of paper, you just announce at the assembly, because tomorrow is open day, you want the parents to come. Some will not tell their parents, but if there is a letter which must be registered, and all students will sign for their own, they know it's important that the letter must be dropped at home. When they come to school and they hear what is happening, they be eager to come next time. So each head of school should wake up and find ways out. Every school has its own peculiarity. Therefore, use what you have to get what you want, so that you can make a difference in your school as a head. It's a challenge to all heads of schools. You want students to do well. Find a way of reaching out to the parents and bringing them in to partner with you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chief Mrs. Omotunde Lawson, for joining us today. From all we have learned today, harmonizing the school calendar in Lagos is more than just synchronizing dates. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, the conversation continues. Thank you very much. Many thanks for staying with us. We've just discussed harmonization of Lagos schools calendar. And like I said earlier, it's not just about, synchronizing dates. It's about finding time for all stakeholders, teachers, parents, and government to do things in order. When schools in Lagos have the same resumption date, have, time for training for teachers and children to go on holiday at the same time. Like what happened just recently when schools are just resuming today. Last week, we had so many holidays, and of course it fell into the half term. You see what synchronization is doing. So yeah, let's support government, let's support our teachers in this harmonization of the school calendar here in Lagos.
Well, I like the fact that there is now a better understanding between the private sectors, the private schools, owners and government, because really there's no way you can harmonize if you don't work together. And even in the harmonization, you still have some schools that still do their own thing.
Yes, because in Lagos, it's only about 80%
of total compliance. So you still have some schools that still run their own calendars, that still tell you, oh no, we are not government regulated. It's not about being government regulated. It's just about ensuring that you don't also make the children feel left out. Because in a particular community, you have children, they fall into different sectors. And then they see themselves going to school at different times. And so they wonder, why is this person going to school? I'm not going to school. But I'm sure government can still engage more, engage wider, so that you have more people buying into why there needs to be that harmonization. You feel it more during the long holidays.
Honestly.
You feel it more during the long holidays. But I do hope that, they will work together. And some of those private schools will also talk to their colleagues, school owners, who would also join in the school calendar. So basically, it's a whole lot.
Harmonization is very necessary at this time. The twins were home for how many weeks for the midterm?
1 week.
Just 1 week.
Somebody told me this morning that our children were home for 3 weeks.
3 weeks. But what were they doing?
I don't know.
It was just 1 week.
No, it was just 1 week.
It was just 1 week.
Somebody you both know.
I think I know the person.
The show, we'll find out.
I think our school is in Ogun State.
Okay.
I think it falls in Ogun State.
Okay, that's true.
So, and I think again that's why this harmonization is also very important, because they also would have looked into the various holidays that are likely to fall within the year. Because I know some certain schools as well. I'm sure that they didn't remember that there will be the Leia holiday. There will be the June 12 holiday. So they didn't factor that in. So for my children's school day, I'm sure they factored that in already. So while the others had gone on midterm, half-term last week,
they did not.
They did not. So their own half-term started on Friday, which was the public holiday. So they had the whole week. So we just went back to school this morning, and we are happy we've gone back to school.
There's one particular school, one international school, and they have their own dates, their own curricula, their dates,
factored with the British.
No, it's not even British. They're Indians, according to their own festivals.
Yeah.
So
and they're in Lagos.
Yes, they're in Ilupeju. Those type of schools, I find it very hard, to do this harmonization. Yes.
So I mean, if you are not in India,
you're in Nigeria, you're in Lagos.
They celebrate their own they celebrate
yes,
their own
they can have their own holidays at that time
you
as
take
well.
Them to India that time.
But you have to
you have to comply.
Let me not talk. You really, I mean, you are in Lagos. As much as you have those holidays, I mean, it's just like those British schools, those British curriculum schools as well. They close on British holidays as well. It's just like their embassies. They won't work on those holidays. They won't come. Yeah. So, I mean, it's valid. But why would you now say that? Because then will they still now go to school on those holidays that are celebrated in Nigeria?
Because they don't celebrate those
holidays. So let's pack everybody and go to India.
Are all their teachers Indians?
Well,
I think there was a story that I read about that school.
That school, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this one is government matter.